Few artifacts in human history have captivated the imagination, faith, and skepticism of millions as much as the Shroud of Turin. This enigmatic linen cloth, measuring approximately 14 feet long and 3.5 feet wide, bears the faint but unmistakable image of a man who appears to have undergone a brutal crucifixion. Many believe it to be the burial shroud of Jesus Christ, imprinted with his image at the moment of his resurrection. Others argue it is an elaborate medieval forgery, a relic crafted to inspire devotion or deceive believers. Yet, despite centuries of study, intense scientific scrutiny, and theological reflection, the Shroud of Turin remains an unsolved mystery. How was the image formed? If it is truly ancient, where was it before the 14th century? Could modern science ever unlock the truth behind this sacred relic? This essay delves into the major enigmas surrounding the shroud, its unexplained image, the controversies of carbon dating, forensic evidence, historical accounts, and its mystical survival through fire and time. In doing so, we explore whether the shroud is a divine relic or a masterpiece of deception. The Shroud of Turin is a linen cloth housed in the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, Italy. It is revered by many as the true burial shroud of Jesus Christ, believed to have wrapped his body after the crucifixion. The most astonishing feature of the shroud is the ghostly image of a man. This figure, seen in a faint sepia tone, exhibits wounds strikingly similar to those described in biblical accounts of Jesus' crucifixion: nail piercings in the wrists and feet, scourge marks across the back, and a side wound matching the spear thrust recorded in the Gospels. But here lies the mystery. The image is not painted, drawn, or printed. It appears to be a natural discoloration on the fibers, without any traces of brushstrokes or pigments. It is a negative image, meaning that when viewed in a photographic negative, the details become astonishingly clear. It encodes three-dimensional information, a property unlike any known medieval artwork. How did this image come to be? Could it have been created by an unknown medieval technique, or is it truly a miraculous imprint left by the resurrected Christ? No artifact, ancient or modern, displays the same properties as the shroud's image. Despite decades of research, scientists have not been able to replicate its precise characteristics. Theories on how the image was formed include the Maillard reaction hypothesis. Some suggest the shroud's image could have been created by a chemical reaction between gases emitted from a decomposing body and the linen's carbohydrate deposits. However, this process typically produces blurred stains, not a detailed high-resolution image, a radiation burst. Another hypothesis proposes that a sudden burst of ultraviolet light or radiation emanated from the body, scorching the fabric and forming the image. This idea aligns with the belief that the image was created at the moment of resurrection. Experiments with high-energy bursts of radiation have produced similar superficial burns, but no medieval forger could have had access to such technology. A medieval artistic technique. Skeptics argue that the image could have been created using a technique involving heated bas-reliefs or acid treatments. Yet, all attempts to replicate the shroud's intricate details, including the negative image effect and three-dimensional properties, have failed. Despite countless studies, the formation of the shroud's image remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in scientific and religious history. In 1988, a breakthrough seemed imminent when scientists conducted radiocarbon dating on a piece of the shroud. The test results were shocking. It dated the cloth to between 1260 and 1390 AD, suggesting that it was not the burial cloth of Jesus, but a medieval forgery. Yet almost immediately, doubts arose about the validity of the test. Critics pointed out several major flaws: sample contamination. The shroud had survived a fire in 1532 and had been handled by thousands of people over the centuries. Could environmental contamination have skewed the results? Testing a repaired section. Some believe that the sample taken for dating was from a later repair patch, not the original linen. If true, this would mean the test results were irrelevant to the true age of the cloth. Conflicting research. More recent studies using different methods suggest the fabric could be much older, possibly dating back to the time of Christ. While the 1988 carbon dating initially seemed to disprove the shroud's authenticity, the controversy surrounding it has only deepened the mystery. Forensic analysis has revealed details about the shroud's bloodstains that further fuel the debate. The blood appears to be real human blood, type AB, common in the Middle East but rare in Europe. The bloodstains align perfectly with what one would expect from a man who had been scourged, crucified, and speared in the side. Advanced tests confirm that the stains contain bilirubin, a substance released when a person experiences extreme trauma, consistent with Jesus' suffering during the crucifixion. Skeptics argue that a medieval forger could have used real blood, but if so, why would they have depicted crucifixion wounds in ways that contradict medieval artistic conventions but align with modern forensic science? One of the most extraordinary discoveries came in 1978 when scientists analyzed the shroud using a NASA-developed VP8 image analyzer. Unlike paintings or photographs, the shroud's image encoded three-dimensional spatial information. This means that the light and dark areas on the cloth correspond to the actual depth of the body it covered. No known artistic technique, medieval or otherwise, could have achieved this effect. The implications are astonishing. If the shroud were a medieval painting, it should not contain three-dimensional depth information. The only way this could naturally occur is if the image was somehow projected onto the cloth in a way that encoded depth data, a process that remains unexplained. The first confirmed record of the shroud dates to the 14th century in France, where it was displayed by the de Charny family. But where was it before that? Some historians link it to the image of Edessa, a legendary cloth bearing the face of Christ, which disappeared from historical records around the 10th century. Others believe it was taken from Constantinople during the Fourth Crusade in 1204. Pollen analysis suggests the shroud spent time in Jerusalem, supporting the idea that it may have originated there. If the shroud is genuine, why is there no clear record of it before the Middle Ages? Was it hidden, stolen, or secretly passed down through generations? In 1532, the shroud was nearly destroyed when a fire broke out in the chapel in Chambéry, France. Molten silver dripped onto the cloth, burning through it, yet the image itself remained intact. Some believe this was miraculous protection, while skeptics argue that this simply proves the image is not made of paint or pigment, which would have been destroyed by the heat. The Shroud of Turin remains one of history's greatest enigmas. Despite modern scientific advancements, its origins, the nature of the image, and its history before the 14th century are still unexplained. Could future technology finally reveal the truth, or will the shroud always remain a divine mystery, an object of faith rather than science? One thing is certain, as long as the Shroud of Turin exists, it will continue to inspire awe, skepticism, and wonder, standing as a silent witness to one of the greatest stories ever told. The Shroud of Turin is not just a religious relic, it is a mystery wrapped in layers of science, history, and the supernatural. While many theories attempt to explain its origins, there are still unknown and unexplained phenomena surrounding the shroud that defy logic. Some of these mysteries extend beyond traditional science, delving into the realms of the mystical and the miraculous. Could the shroud be a portal to the divine, holding secrets beyond human understanding? Could it be a relic that bridges the gap between the physical and spiritual worlds? Here we explore the lesser-known mystical mysteries surrounding the Shroud of Turin. One of the most astonishing theories suggests that the shroud's image was created by an immense burst of energy, possibly at the moment of Jesus' resurrection. This hypothesis, known as the radiation burst theory, proposes that the transformation from death to life released a supernatural force, imprinting Christ's image onto the linen. What makes this theory fascinating? Scientists have noted that the image appears to be scorched onto the fibers in a way that resembles radiation burns. The imprint is only micrometers thick, suggesting an extremely precise and controlled energy burst, unlike any natural or artificial process known to man. Some researchers believe that the image was created in an instant, possibly in a moment of divine transfiguration. If this theory is true, could the shroud contain proof of a supernatural event beyond the realm of science? Some physicists have suggested that the shroud's image might be an imprint of time itself. The idea is that if Jesus' resurrection involved a change in the fundamental laws of physics, perhaps altering the fabric of space-time, the shroud may have captured a snapshot of this event. Some have even speculated that the shroud might function like a holographic record, storing information in a way we have yet to understand. The three-dimensional quality of the image has led some to compare it to quantum entanglement, where particles at great distances are mysteriously linked. Could the shroud contain information beyond what the human eye can see, waiting to be unlocked by future discoveries? This theory suggests that the shroud is not just a relic. It is a scientific anomaly that could challenge everything we know about time and existence. Artists and image analysts have been baffled by the mathematical perfection of the shroud's image. Unlike medieval paintings or early photographic techniques, the image exhibits anatomical precision and symmetry that is nearly impossible to achieve without modern tools. The image is not distorted, despite the fact that a cloth wrapping a body should produce a stretched or uneven image. The face on the shroud is perfectly proportioned, unlike any known medieval artwork, where faces were often elongated or asymmetrical. The details of the wounds match forensic evidence so precisely that modern experts cannot find any historical precedent for such accuracy. Some believe this suggests a divine hand was at work, while others argue it may indicate an unknown technology or phenomenon. An ancient relic known as the Mandilion, or the image of Edessa, was said to have been a cloth that bore the face of Christ and was believed to have miraculous powers. Some historians believe that the Shroud of Turin and the Mandilion are one and the same, hidden for centuries before reappearing in Europe. The Mandilion was described as not made by human hands, similar to claims about the shroud. Ancient texts suggest that the Mandilion had the power to heal the sick and protect cities. Was this due to some unknown energy within the relic? If the shroud was hidden for centuries, could it have been kept secret because of its potential power? The link between the Mandilion and the shroud remains one of the greatest unsolved historical puzzles. A detailed study of the pollen grains found on the shroud revealed something incredible. Traces of plants that only grow in the Middle East, specifically in the regions of Jerusalem and the Dead Sea. Some of these plants only bloom in March and April, aligning with the biblical account of Jesus' crucifixion and burial. The variety of pollen suggests that the shroud has traveled across continents, supporting theories that it was once kept in Constantinople or Edessa before arriving in Europe. The presence of pollen from plants that do not exist in medieval Europe raises the question, how could a forger in the 1300s obtain such an authentic mix of ancient Middle Eastern pollen? Could this mean the shroud originated in the Holy Land as many believe? There have been strange reports surrounding the shroud, especially during its public displays. People have claimed to experience visions, miracles, and unexplained healings while in its presence. Some who have seen it in person describe feeling an overwhelming sense of divine presence. Others report that the shroud appears to glow faintly in certain conditions, though no scientific explanation exists for this effect. Is the shroud simply a relic? Or is it an object with supernatural properties beyond our understanding? In recent years, researchers have discovered faint inscriptions on the shroud, barely visible to the naked eye. These markings include Greek and Latin letters that may have been added by early Christians, possibly as identification or reverence. Some markings appear to spell out Jesus Nazarene, suggesting it was recognized as his burial cloth even in ancient times. Certain symbols and patterns resemble early Christian secret codes, used to communicate among believers in times of persecution. Could the shroud contain hidden messages meant for future generations? Despite being over 1,000 years old, possibly 2,000, the shroud has not fully deteriorated, unlike other ancient fabrics. Linen from the same time period often disintegrates within centuries, yet the shroud remains largely intact. It has survived fires, floods, and wars, with only partial damage, almost as if it were protected by an unknown force. Some experts suggest that a unique property of the shroud's fibers prevents decay, but no explanation has been confirmed. Does the shroud possess a divine preservation quality, or is it made from a material we do not yet understand? Many who study the shroud believe that it is more than just a physical object. It is a window into a higher reality. Could the shroud be a direct link to the resurrection, preserving evidence of an event beyond human comprehension? Is the shroud a coded message from God, revealing itself only when the world is ready to understand it? Does it contain information about the nature of light, energy, and life itself, waiting for science to decipher it. The Shroud of Turin stands at the crossroads of faith, science, and the unexplained. No matter how much we study it, the deeper we dig, the more questions arise. Will we ever truly understand its origins, or will it remain a divine enigma, forever beyond the reach of human knowledge? One thing is certain: the Shroud of Turin continues to inspire awe, reverence, and wonder, standing as one of history's greatest and most enduring mysteries.